It was supposed to be a fun, light-hearted night with friends, but things went south pretty quickly. I'm not even sure what came over me, honestly. I guess sometimes I just get a little carried away, but that doesn't excuse what I said. Hi, I'm Jessica, 32 years old, and I'm here to tell you about the night I messed up big time. You know, sometimes you think you're just joking around, but you end up crossing a line you didn't even know was there. And then there's the aftermath, where you can't really take it back, but you still act like it's no big deal. That's exactly what happened at that stupid party. It all started when we were at a friend's house, just a casual get-together with a few drinks and some games. My husband, Paul, was there too, of course. Paul's 35, kind of quiet, and honestly, he's always been the type who doesn't like making a scene. He's good to me and the kids, you know, he works hard, keeps things running even when I can't get my act together half the time. But me? I like to have fun, talk loud, make everyone laugh, sometimes at the wrong person's expense. We'd all been talking about what we'd been up to lately, and of course I had to bring up how I was the one running the show at home. I wasn't trying to be serious, okay? It was just a joke, a stupid, impulsive joke. But I guess Paul didn't see it that way. So, I laughed, took a sip of my wine, and said something like, "Yeah, at home I'm the boss. Paul? He just works and takes care of the kids while I handle everything else. I mean, I do everything. I'm the real head of the household." The room went quiet for a second, and then everyone just kind of stared at Paul, waiting for his reaction. And I thought it would be funny, but it wasn't funny to him. He kind of smiled, but it was one of those forced smiles. I could see the tension in his face. He didn't say anything right away, but I could tell he wasn't thrilled. I should have dropped it right there, but I didn't. I just kept talking, not thinking about how it might hurt him. I started going on about how I was managing all the bills, making decisions about the kids' schools, and even handling our finances, which, let's be honest, I'm terrible at. I'm really bad with money. But I just kept pretending like I had it all together. Maybe I didn't want to admit that I'm impulsive, that I get bored and make stupid purchases, that I don't keep track of things the way I should. But hey, who needs to admit that when you're trying to play it cool, right? At some point, Paul interrupted me, and that's when I realized I might have gone too far. He said, "You know, Jess, you act like I don't do anything around here. But you're the one who spends money without thinking. You're the one who buys things we don't need, and then I have to clean up the mess." And it hit me. He was pissed. Like really pissed. But instead of apologizing or owning up to anything I had said, I just brushed it off. I made a joke about how he should be used to it by now, how I was just having a little fun, and how he needed to relax. I laughed it off like it was no big deal. The thing is, I knew what I said had hurt him. He's always been sensitive about me making him the butt of the joke, but I guess I didn't care in the moment. I wanted everyone to laugh, to think I was funny. But as soon as Paul's face tightened, I knew I crossed a line. I could feel the eyes of our friends on us, and for a second I thought maybe I'd have to backtrack, maybe apologize. But I didn't. Why? Because I don't like admitting when I'm wrong. I hate it. I'd rather brush things under the rug and pretend everything's fine. I've been like this for a while. Maybe it's the way I've always been, but it's easier to act like I don't care than to own up to my mistakes. After that, the whole mood shifted. People tried to change the subject, but I could feel the tension between Paul and me. When we got home, he didn't say a word. He just went straight to the bedroom, and I knew he was upset. But did I apologize? No. Did I even realize what I had done? Not really. I mean, I told myself I was just joking around, but deep down, I knew I had hurt him. I just didn't want to admit it. And as for the money thing, well, I didn't see what the big deal was. He knew I wasn't perfect with finances, but it's not like I was going out of my way to ruin us. But yeah, maybe I wasn't being totally responsible. Maybe I did leave him with a lot to clean up. But I wasn't about to take full responsibility for it. Why would I? At the end of the day, I still thought I was right. I mean, I was trying to have a little fun, and maybe he took it the wrong way. That's on him, right? So now I'm sitting here, realizing that maybe I shouldn't have pushed Paul so far, but I still don't think it was that big of a deal. He'll get over it, like always, right? I didn't expect things to get worse. but of course, they did. I thought I could just brush it off and move on like I always do. But no. Paul's not the type to just get over it like I assumed. The next morning was a disaster, and I'm honestly still not sure how I ended up in this mess. But here we are. So, I woke up early to get the kids ready for school, just like every other day. But something was different. There was this coldness in the house, and it wasn't just the usual I'm still half asleep vibe. No, it was worse. It was like we were strangers. Paul was quiet, distant, and I thought, okay, this is fine, he's just being dramatic. I'm used to him sulking when he's upset, and I always thought it was just his way of letting things blow over. I didn't think much of it. But then, as I was making coffee, he walked into the kitchen and said, "You know, Jessica, I'm tired of being the joke. I'm tired of you acting like I don't contribute to this family." I froze. The tone in his voice was sharp, not the usual Paul tone. It was like something inside him finally snapped. I wanted to say something, anything to make it right, but I couldn't. Instead, I just stood there with my coffee mug in my hand, trying to look innocent like I didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, I already said I was just joking last night, so what more could I do? "Do you even realize how that made me feel?" he asked, his voice trembling a bit. I could tell he was holding back tears, but I wasn't about to apologize for my actions. I couldn't. I didn't want to admit that maybe, just maybe, I had taken things too far. So I did what I always do when I don't want to face the truth. I got defensive. "Paul, it was just a joke. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? You know I didn't mean anything by it," I said, trying to sound casual, but I could hear the shakiness in my voice. I hated that I couldn't control it. He wasn't buying it, though. He looked at me with this look, like he was seeing through all my nonsense. "You're always joking about me, always making me look bad in front of people, and it's starting to wear me down. You never take anything seriously, Jessica. You never take us seriously." That stung, and I knew it should have. But instead of owning up to it, instead of feeling bad about the hurt I caused, I just got mad. I snapped back with something I immediately regretted, but I couldn't stop myself. "Well, maybe if you were a little more, I don't know, fun, maybe I wouldn't feel like I had to be the one carrying everything all the time," I said, barely holding back a sarcastic laugh. I knew I shouldn't have said that, but I just couldn't help myself. It was like the words just came out before I could stop them. And the look on Paul's face when I said that? I'll never forget it. It wasn't just hurt, it was anger. Pure frustration. But I wasn't backing down. I tried to play it off, like I wasn't really mad, like I was just letting off some steam, but I wasn't fooling anyone, not even myself. Deep down, I knew I was just deflecting because I didn't want to face how badly I messed up. I hated when things got too real, when I couldn't just brush it off and pretend everything was fine. So, we spent the rest of the morning in silence. The kids, of course, had no idea what was going on. They were just excited for school, which I guess was a blessing in disguise. But I could feel the tension between Paul and me, even when we weren't talking. And the worst part? I didn't care enough to fix it. I thought, well, he'll get over it, he always does. But I didn't realize how wrong I was until later that afternoon when I went to check on the bank account. Paul usually handles all the bills because, let's be honest, I'm not good with money. I can't keep track of it for the life of me. I always end up spending more than I should on stupid stuff, and it just piles up. But when I looked at the account, I saw a big problem. Paul had pulled all the savings out. Like everything. I went into a full panic mode. What the hell was going on? Did he really just take everything? I called him immediately, my heart pounding in my chest. But he didn't pick up. He never picks up when things get tense like this. So I tried texting, hoping to get some sort of explanation. Finally, he called me back, but the tone in his voice was icy. "I've had enough, Jessica. You don't take anything seriously. Not our finances, not me, not this family. I'm tired of being the one who holds it all together while you just do whatever you want. I can't keep doing this." I felt like I was going to choke. The reality of the situation hit me all at once. I had pushed him too far, and now he was pulling away. But what did I do? I went into full-on damage control mode, like always. "Paul, don't do this. We can fix it, I promise. I'm sorry. Please, don't be mad. You know how I am. I didn't mean to hurt you." But the more I begged, the more I could tell it wasn't working. He didn't respond to my apologies. He just kept repeating that he was done. And I was left there, knowing that I had pushed him too far, but still not really taking full responsibility for any of it. I told myself it would be fine, that he'd come around. But deep down, I knew this was different. This time, I might have pushed him too far. The next few days were the quietest I've ever experienced in this house. It was so bad, I couldn't even look at Paul without feeling that heavy weight in my chest. But honestly, I still didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to apologize without feeling like I was giving up everything. And maybe I wasn't ready to do that. I mean, sure, maybe I was the one who made the joke, who made him feel small, but he could have just let it go. Why didn't he? He's always so sensitive about stuff like that. Why couldn't he just laugh it off like everyone else? I tried to justify my actions in my head because, honestly, I didn't want to face the reality that I'd messed up. But things weren't getting better. If anything, they were getting worse. He wasn't speaking to me like he used to, and even when we were around the kids, it was like we were just going through the motions. The kids didn't understand, but I knew they could feel the tension. I felt it too, every time I looked at Paul. There was so much anger in his eyes, so much hurt. And the worst part? I didn't know how to fix it. I spent the entire week trying to distract myself with work, cleaning, anything to keep me from thinking about how much I screwed up. But at night, when the house was quiet and everyone was asleep, I'd lie there and think about the conversation we'd had, and I'd wonder if I could have said something different. Could I have handled it better? Could I have actually apologized for once? I never used to care about stuff like this, about whether or not I hurt Paul. I always thought he was just being dramatic, that he'd get over it eventually. I never thought it would come to this, never thought he'd actually shut me out completely. But I couldn't make myself apologize. That would mean admitting I was wrong, and I just couldn't do it. Not yet. On Friday night, after the kids were in bed, Paul finally spoke to me again. We were sitting in the living room, the air thick with unspoken words. I wanted to say something, anything to make him understand where I was coming from, but my pride was stronger than my desire to fix things. "Jessica," he started, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm done. I can't keep living like this. I can't keep giving you the benefit of the doubt, only for you to keep pushing me away. You don't respect me, you don't value me, and I'm tired of pretending that everything's okay when it's not." His words stung, but I wasn't going to let him see how much they hurt. I couldn't. I had too much pride for that. So instead of apologizing, I said the only thing I could think of in the moment. "Paul, I didn't mean for things to go this far. But I'm not just going to sit here and act like I'm the one who messed everything up. You're the one who took all the money out of the account. You're the one who's shutting me out." It was a cheap shot, I'll admit, but I couldn't help it. I had to defend myself. I couldn't just let him make me feel like the villain here. "You don't get it, do you?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I've been trying to hold it together for so long, Jessica. I've been carrying everything, and you just keep taking and taking without giving anything back. I'm done. I can't do this anymore." And that's when it hit me. He was serious. He wasn't going to forgive me this time. There would be no more pretending that everything was fine. I was losing him, and I didn't know how to stop it. The rest of the night was a blur. We didn't say much after that. There was nothing left to say. I just stayed in the living room while he retreated to the bedroom. It was like we were living separate lives in the same house, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. The next morning, Paul was gone. He didn't even wake me up before leaving. I got out of bed to find a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm taking the kids to my mom's. I need space. We'll talk later." And that's when everything finally sank in. I had pushed him too far. I'd gone too far this time. I wasn't ready to face it, but I had no choice. I sat down on the couch, feeling like everything I'd worked for, everything I'd taken for granted, was slipping through my fingers. But did I really take responsibility? Did I truly own up to my actions? No. I just sat there feeling sorry for myself, wondering how long it would take for Paul to come back and fix things. I couldn't help it. I wasn't ready to admit I'd messed up. I wasn't ready to face the fact that I might have lost my family, my home, everything I had, and that's when it hit me. I wasn't even thinking about fixing things for him. I was thinking about how it affected me. Paul stayed at his mom's for 2 days. 2 whole days of silence. No calls, no texts, nothing. And even though I knew I should have called him, should have apologized, I didn't. Instead, I spent the time scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself from the reality of what was happening. When he finally came home, he didn't say much. He was distant, colder than ever. And honestly, I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to make things right. But did I even try? No. I just sat there, expecting him to come back and fix it, like always. The days after Paul came back were a blur of half-hearted attempts to fix things. I told myself I'd try harder, but honestly, I wasn't sure I even knew how. I expected him to just magically forgive me and go back to the way things were, like nothing had happened. But that didn't happen. It didn't work like that. I would tell myself that things were getting better, that we were okay, but deep down, I knew I hadn't really changed. I hadn't learned anything. I was still too proud to admit I was wrong. Sure, I apologized in passing, but it wasn't genuine. I just wanted things to go back to normal, without taking responsibility for how I hurt him. I couldn't stop blaming him for everything that went wrong, even though I knew deep down I was the one who'd pushed him to the edge. Weeks went by, and things stayed cold. The silence between us grew more unbearable. Our conversations were superficial, like we were roommates rather than a couple. We'd talk about the kids, the house, and other meaningless things, but anything real, anything that mattered, was left unsaid. And I let it happen. I spent nights lying awake, wondering when things would go back to how they were. I couldn't understand why he was still so hurt, why he couldn't just forgive me and move on. But I wasn't ready to face the truth. I had damaged something irreparable, and maybe it was too late to fix it now. Maybe I had pushed him too far. Maybe my joke, my pride, my refusal to take accountability had all been the final straw. But it wasn't about the joke anymore. It was about the way I treated him over time. The way I took him for granted, thought I could do whatever I wanted without facing the consequences. Paul eventually packed up his things and left for good. There was no dramatic confrontation, no last argument, just him walking out the door, taking the kids with him, and leaving me in the house we had built together. And that was it. He was gone. It's hard to admit, but I haven't really learned my lesson. I still feel sorry for myself, more than I feel sorry for him. Maybe someday I'll realize the full extent of the damage I've caused. But for now, I'm just left here, trying to piece together what's left of my life, and wondering if I'll ever be able to fix the mess I made. But deep down, I know I can't. It's too late for that. And maybe it's for the best. I don't think I'll ever understand how I ended up here, but I've come to terms with the fact that I'm the one who made it happen. It wasn't him, it was me, and I guess that's the hardest part to accept.